In the early hours of Monday morning, the tranquil coastal communes of Ninh Bình Province were transformed into scenes of devastation as violent tornadoes, spawned by Typhoon Bualoi, tore through the region. The disaster left at least 6 people dead, dozens injured, and hundreds displaced, marking one of the most destructive weather events to strike northern Vietnam in recent years. Typhoon Bualoi, which made landfall late Sunday night, brought with it torrential rains and fierce winds. But it was the unexpected outbreak of tornadoes, rare in Vietnam, that turned the storm into a catastrophe. The tornadoes carved a path of destruction through Thịnh Long, Quỹ Nhất, and Hải Anh communes, toppling homes, snapping power lines, and breaching critical sea dikes. In Thịnh Long Commune, the first to be hit, residents were jolted awake by the roar of wind and the sound of corrugated iron roofs being torn from houses. One resident, 62-year-old Nguyễn Văn Hùng, described the moment. It was like a giant hand ripping through the village. I saw my neighbor's roof fly into the sky like paper. The commune reported 1 fatality and multiple injuries. Emergency crews had already been working overnight to repair a section of the sea dike that had failed hours earlier, but the tornado's arrival forced them to retreat and regroup. The worst toll came in Quỹ Nhất Commune, where several homes collapsed under the force of the wind. Local officials confirmed 4 deaths, including 1 person who succumbed to injuries later in hospital. Among the victims was a young mother, Tran Thi Mai, who died shielding her 2 children from falling debris. Her children survived with minor injuries. 3 others were seriously injured, including an elderly man who was pulled from the rubble of his collapsed home by neighbors. We heard him calling for help, said Pham Van Dung, a local farmer. We dug with our bare hands until we reached him. In Hải Anh Commune, the tornadoes toppled dozens of electricity poles and flattened homes. 1 person was killed when their house collapsed, and several others were injured. The destruction of power infrastructure plunged the area into darkness, complicating rescue efforts. Local authorities mobilized rescue teams to clear debris, restore essential services, and relocate families from unsafe structures. We are prioritizing the safety of residents, said Deputy Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee, Lu Van Ton. Our teams are working around the clock to assess damage and provide shelter. As the storm subsided, emergency responders faced a race against time to stabilize weakened dikes and prevent further flooding. The breached sea defenses in Thịnh Long and Quỹ Nhất remain a critical concern. Engineers and volunteers have been reinforcing embankments with sandbags and concrete blocks, hoping to hold off rising tides. We are still in danger, warned hydrologist Dr. Pham Thi Lon from the Vietnam Institute of Meteorology. The soil is saturated, and any additional rainfall could trigger landslides or secondary flooding. Across Ninh Binh, flags flew at half-mast as families mourned their loved ones. Makeshift memorials appeared outside destroyed homes, with candles and incense burning in tribute. Schools and businesses remained closed as the province observed a day of mourning. In the village of Quỹ Nhất, a communal funeral was held for the victims. Hundreds attended, many in tears. We are heartbroken, said village elder Nguyễn Văn Hùng, but we will rebuild. We always do. The central government has pledged emergency funds and dispatched military units to assist with recovery. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh expressed condolences and promised swift action. We grieve with Ninh Binh. We will rebuild stronger and safer. Relief organizations, including the Vietnam Red Cross and international NGOs, have begun distributing food, water, and medical supplies. Temporary shelters have been set up in schools and community centers, and psychological support teams are on the ground to help traumatized residents. Meteorologists are still analyzing the rare tornado outbreak. While Vietnam is no stranger to typhoons, tornadoes remain uncommon. Experts suggest that warming sea temperatures and shifting atmospheric patterns may be contributing to more erratic and extreme weather. This event is a wake-up call, said Dr. Lan. We must invest in better forecasting, resilient infrastructure, and community preparedness. Local officials echoed the sentiment, calling for improved early warning systems and stronger building codes. We cannot afford to be caught off guard again, said Chairman Tan. Amid the tragedy, stories of heroism and solidarity have emerged. In Haian, a group of teenagers formed a human chain to rescue an elderly woman trapped in her flooded home. In Thin Long, a local teacher opened her school to shelter dozens of displaced families. These young people are our hope, said teacher Lu Tihong. They didn't wait for orders, they acted. As Ninh Binh begins the long road to recovery, the scars of Typhoon Bualoi and its tornadoes will remain. But so too will the resilience of its people. From the shattered homes of Quỹ Nhất to the flooded fields of Thin Long, communities are already rebuilding, brick by brick, heart by heart. We lost so much, said survivor Nguyễn Văn Hùng. But we still have each other. That's how we'll survive. Meanwhile, according to a quick report from the People's Committee of Ninh Bình Province, as of 10 a.m. the same day, the province recorded that due to the impact of Storm Bualoi, storm number 10, in the communes of Quỹ Nhất, Hai Thin, Hai On, Hong Phong, Gia Hung, and Chat Bin, a tornado occurred, killing 9 people and injuring 18 others. The provincial report also clearly stated the property damage caused by the tornado, including 11 level 4 houses collapsed, 126 houses damaged, roofs blown off, 5 schools damaged, 53 electric poles broken, some power lines broken, and many trees broken, uprooted. In Quỹ Nhất Commune, Ninh Bình Province, many people are still shocked by the scene of devastation after the tornado passed through. Houses were destroyed, electric poles and trees were broken everywhere. Advertising signs were blown away and scattered everywhere. Nguyễn Văn Duk, chairman of the People's Committee of Quỹ Nhất Commune, Ninh Bình Province, one of the localities heavily damaged by the tornado, said that according to initial statistics, 3 people in the commune died on the spot. 1 person died in the hospital and 2 people are being treated due to the tornado. Regarding property, according to Mr. Duk, initial statistics show that 4 houses collapsed, many houses had their roofs blown off, and many people's properties were damaged. Ha Ngoc Ton, residing in Quỹ Nhất Commune, Ninh Bình Province, is still in shock after the tornado passed. My whole family was sleeping when we heard a loud noise like thunder. The wind was howling very strongly. We didn't know what was happening. When the wind stopped, we opened the door and looked outside. Everything was in ruins, Tone recounted. The walls of houses and a series of electric poles in Quỹ Nhất Commune collapsed after a tornado passed through. Ninh Bình provincial leaders inspected and directed the prevention, control, and overcoming of damage caused by Storm Bualoi in a number of localities in the area. At the same time visited, shared, and encouraged the families of the victims and directed timely treatment of the injured. Local authorities in the province are also urgently focusing on overcoming the problem. Typhoon Gualoy, a Category 4 tropical cyclone born in the Western Pacific, has carved a trail of destruction across Southeast Asia, leaving at least 38 people dead, hundreds injured, and tens of thousands displaced. With sustained winds exceeding 215 kilometers per hour and gusts topping 260 kilometers per hour, Gualoy's fury was felt from the rice paddies of northern Vietnam to the coastal provinces of the Philippines and the flood-prone deltas of Thailand. Forming east of the Philippines on September 23rd, Gualoy rapidly intensified over warm ocean waters, fueled by anomalous sea surface temperatures and a high-pressure ridge that steered it westward. By September 26th, it had reached super typhoon status, prompting emergency alerts across Luzon, Mindoro, and Palawan. Meteorologists warned of explosive intensification, and they were right. Within 36 hours, Gualoy's eye expanded, its spiral bands thickened, and its wind field doubled in size. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center, JTWC, issued a rare red alert for multiple landfall zones. Gualoy slammed into eastern Luzon on September 27th, bringing 400 millimeters of rain in just 24 hours. Flash floods inundated Quezon Province, while landslides buried homes in the Sierra Madre Mountains. In Manila, storm surges breached seawalls, flooding the historic Intramuros district and displacing over 12,000 residents. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, NDRRMC, confirmed 18 fatalities, including 5 children swept away by floodwaters in Marikina. Power outages affected 3.2 million households, and telecommunications collapsed in several provinces. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. declared a state of calamity, mobilizing military units for rescue and relief. "We are facing a national emergency," he said. "Our priority is saving lives and restoring dignity." By September 29th, Gualoy's remnants reached Thailand, where heavy rains overwhelmed the Chao Phraya River Basin. Ayutthaya, the ancient capital, saw knee-deep flooding in its UNESCO World Heritage zones. In Nakhon Sawan, levees failed, submerging entire neighborhoods. The Thai Meteorological Department issued flash flood warnings for 22 provinces. At least 14 people were reported dead, mostly from drowning and electrocution. Bangkok's drainage system, already strained by urban expansion, buckled under the deluge. Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin urged calm and resilience. "We must adapt to a new climate reality. Our cities must be smarter, our systems stronger." Across the region, over 120,000 people have been evacuated. Schools, hospitals, and community centers have been converted into temporary shelters. Relief agencies, including ASEAN's Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance, AHA Center, are distributing food, water, and medical supplies. Infrastructure damage is estimated at $1.8 billion, with agriculture bearing the brunt. Rice paddies, shrimp farms, and fruit orchards have been inundated, threatening food security and livelihoods. Typhoon Bualoi's intensity and erratic behavior have reignited debates about climate adaptation. Scientists point to warming oceans, shifting jet streams, and rising humidity as key drivers of super typhoons. "This is not an anomaly, it's a preview," said Dr. Nguyen Hong Min, a climate scientist based in Hanoi. "We're seeing storms that intensify faster, travel farther, and behave more unpredictably." The World Meteorological Organization, WMO, has called for enhanced regional forecasting systems and cross-border disaster coordination. Typhoons don't respect borders. "Our response must be equally unified," said WMO Secretary General Petteri Talas. Amid the devastation, stories of heroism have emerged. In Quezon, a teacher used a surfboard to ferry stranded students to safety. In Ninh Binh, teenagers formed a human chain to rescue an elderly woman trapped in her flooded home. In Ayutthaya, monks opened temple gates to shelter displaced families. But the losses are profound. In Manila, a mother wept over the ruins of her home. "We built this with our hands. Now it's gone," she said. In Vietnam, farmers watched helplessly as floodwaters swallowed their harvest. "It's not just rice, it's our future," said one. Governments across Southeast Asia have pledged emergency funds and long-term recovery plans. The Philippines has allocated 10 billion Cuban pesos for reconstruction. Vietnam is deploying engineers to reinforce dikes and rebuild homes. Thailand is fast-tracking urban drainage upgrades. International aid is flowing in. UNICEF, Red Cross, and Médecins Sans Frontieres are on the ground. The United Nations has launched a $50 million appeal to support affected communities. Typhoon Bualoi has exposed systemic vulnerabilities, aging infrastructure, inadequate forecasting, and fragile ecosystems. But it has also revealed resilience, solidarity, and the human spirit's capacity to endure. Experts urge a shift from reactive to proactive strategies, climate-resilient housing, early warning systems, and community-based disaster education. "We must learn from Bualoi," said Dr. Lan, "not just to rebuild, but to rethink." As the skies clear and waters recede, Southeast Asia faces a sobering truth. Typhoon Bualoi was not just a storm, it was a signal. A signal that the climate is changing, that vulnerabilities are growing, and that resilience must be built not just in infrastructure, but in hearts and minds. From the shattered coastlines of Luzon to the flooded deltas of Vietnam and Thailand, the region mourns, rebuilds, and reflects. And in that reflection lies hope, not just for recovery, but for transformation.
Đây là máy tôn của trường bay qua là dựa trên tủ điện đang dậy.